to say any words to you on behalf of those who are in our memory and in our gratitude.
Our next speaker, I'd like to have J.J. Hesketh, a veteran who served in the U.S. Marine Corps and is the founder of Project Reclaim Respect, share with us his passion for the flag.
Thank you for that introduction, Matt. Good morning. Thank you for being here today. As you may have noticed, the flag's at half-mast in honor of our veterans. In the early 1970s, as an explorer scout, I worked on building a 2.2-mile trail into the mountains past North Bend. This trail went from the end of the road to Talipus Lake. Our work included felling trees, removing stumps, building footbridges, and leveling trails. All of this work resulted in the beginning of many trails to the wilderness. This trail, the feeder trail, was the seed. That trail, which is over 45 years old today, according to the Parks Department, is overused. You may ask, what does that have to do with today? Today it is my hope that every American here will take away from this event a seed. The seed to take away today are to respect our flag and our veterans as we have never before. It is time for America to refresh its views and attitudes toward what our flag represents. We will have to fell walls, remove obstacles, build bridges, and level our attitudes. I started Project Reclaim Respect 4 months ago. About 6 weeks into my work, the following article was submitted by a good friend and fellow Marine veteran, David Strider. It was written by his father, who served in the Armed Guard and the U.S. Navy. In the letter to the editor column in Wilmington, Ohio, Enoch Strider stated, "Getting to the point. Speaking of our flag, other people and myself have noticed a good many times that the flag on the corner of the courthouse square has been mistreated a good bit. Yesterday it was upside down. Other days it has touched the ground and drugged on the sidewalk, and not at full mast and other mistreatments. For my opinion," Enoch said, "two people should raise and lower it and fold it the right way each day that it is flown. Being in the center of our good town, at the courthouse, let's fly it the right way and handle it right." Enoch also stated, "If no one at the raising and lowering of the flag knows how to do this, ask a Cub Scout or a Boy Scout, and they will handle it right." Other men, women, and myself, Enoch, fought to keep it flying, so let's keep it flying right. I find it ironic that this document was published in the month of October in the year 1956, the same month and year that I was born. I started my cause because of a belief that our flag was disrespected. It is apparent that others had the same belief 61 years ago. How many have heard, "United we stand, divided we fall"? Yeah. Our country is currently divided by politics, divided by religion, divided by race. What the heck, we don't even know if we should sit, stand, or kneel for football. I can only hope that as many people act on my dream of a united America as have tread the trail that I helped build. I challenge all of you on your way to your next destination to not look at the flags that are flying and not notice just one that needs attention. My 85-year-old parents recently traveled to the East Coast from North Carolina to New Hampshire and noted that flags were flying everywhere, including people's yards. Do you have one? You can find information on how to respect our flag and had a retire flag on our website. Our PRR.com. Project Reclaim Respect. No politics, no religion, no race. All flag. Thanks for being here today.
Thank you, JJ. Semper Fi. That was hard for me to say as an Army guy. And now, I am honored to have our Mayor, Matt Pina, to say a few words and take a moment to recognize our veterans and service members.
I want to welcome everybody, and before I get started, I'd like to introduce you to the other council members that are here with me today because we all feel this is so important. Of course, we have Councilmember Matt Mahoney, but over here in uniform, and I almost didn't recognize him because it's a different uniform that I've seen him in before, is Deputy Mayor Vic Pennington back here in back. We have Councilmember Bangs over here. Councilmember Buxton. We also have someone with us, our former mayor and a long-serving council member, Mr. Dave Kaplan. You know, this is an important day, and we do need to remember those who are serving and those who have served and who've given up so much for us. But to my knowledge, this is the first time that we've done something like this in Des Moines. And I'll look Dave's way because there's an aircraft and I'm going to pause. So much for the civilian Air Force. Anyway, to my knowledge, we've not done this in Des Moines before. But it's our intent today to make this an annual event and a tradition for the city of Des Moines. So as a token of our appreciation and respect, it would be an honor to present each service member, veteran, or family representative with the City of Des Moines Shield pin. So I'd like to ask at this time, anyone who has served, serving, or representing someone who has served, to please come up front and stand by the appropriate flag.
Believe me, I won't be able to get back up.
Yeah, we'd like you to come out in front of the flag so we can get a photo, please.
You're fine.
Yes. Well, they're taking pictures.
Pennington. Just drink a little bit.
I don't get any skinnier than this.
Photoshop works wonders.
You guys are doing great.
Where's that
I would like to note that there is one flag that didn't have any representation today, but I want it to go on record that we recognize it, and that's our POW flag. One of the last comments I'd like to make is, we're here in Stephen J. Underwood Park. And I feel it's important to recognize, especially knowing Officer Underwood and the sacrifice he made for our community, I think it's important to recognize that there are a number of individuals every day that they may not be in our military as we know it, but they are out there every day on the streets for our safety. And that is our law enforcement, our firefighters, our EMTs, and other first responders. Please recognize them with a round of applause. Thank you very much for all of your attendance. I'm going to turn the podium back over to Matt Mahoney.
Thank you, Mayor. Teddy Roosevelt said, "Never throughout history has a man who lived a life of ease left a name worth remembering." Memorial Day is a day to take pause and remind ourselves about those who have made the greatest sacrifice so that we can enjoy America's futures and the promises that freedom holds. The practice of honoring these service members did begin around the Civil War, and fellow soldiers and families would travel many miles to the grave sites of the fallen to pay their respects. With poor roads and trails, bumpy wagon rides, and poorly marked graves, this was no small feat. Yet they would come every year to decorate the graves of these brave service members and honor their sacrifice. This tradition occurred in May, where flowers were in full bloom and could be used for decoration. Winter was now in the past and the roads could be traveled. After World War I, the tradition became mainstream in America. At Tahoma National Cemetery, Arlington National Cemetery, and for that matter, small and large cemeteries across this great country, families and former service members and volunteers decorate the graves of those fallen or at rest, and even today this honored tradition continues. But in such a tradition, a simple flag ceremony was created, and that is the reason we are here today. So what is this flag ceremony? What does it mean, and how do we participate? The ceremony consists of 3 parts. At dawn, the flag is raised to full mast and then lowered to half mast, as you see behind me. It waves in this position to honor the memory of those who sacrificed, preserve the freedoms we enjoy today. At midday, or now, the flag is simply raised from the half-mast to the full position. Now this may seem simple and of little importance, but is simply not true. Because this simple gesture recognizes that even though we honor the sacrifices of the valiant souls, we cannot languish in the past but must move forward. During this flag raising, veteran service members, police, and fire are asked to salute the flag, and all others are to place their hands over their heart. Once the flag is raised to its position of honor and the color guard has completed the ceremony and return to their position, a moment of silence will be issued. This moment represents the reminder that while we move forward, we must always remember to take pause and never forget that these brave Americans have done what these brave Americans have done for our country. And as that moment closes, commit to ourselves to live our lives to emulate the freedoms, justice, and equality that they fought for. These momentary pauses. Okay, our color guard today is represented by veterans from many forces. Sergeant of the Color Guard, he'll stand, Pat Nardo, an Army Air Corps soldier in the Philippines at the end of World War II. He said he didn't want me to ask him to stand too many times. He was in the Air Corps, which morphed into the Air Force, and he participated in the Berlin airlift in the Korean War. So if you could give him a round of applause. Our flag bearer, Bob Barnett from Pittsburgh, a Navy veteran and a diehard Steelers fan. I'm having a little tough time with that one. Who served at Pearl Harbor and Seattle amongst many years aboard and abroad. We have Linda Murray, who is in the U.S. Marines. A woman in the Marines is nothing but short of kick-ass. Semper Fi. We have Gary Coy, one of my favorite services because my son's in it. It's the U.S. Coast Guard. And Wayne English, who is an officer in our Air Force. Sergeant of the Guard, attend to the colors. Please stand. And now, I'd like to ask for a moment of silence. Thank you. Before I let our city manager come up and close the ceremony, I wanted to say one last word. General George S. Patton said, "It is foolish and wrong to mourn the men who died. Rather, we should thank God that such lived." Thank you.
Yeah, just a couple of closing words. I'd like to acknowledge our new police chief, Chief Thomas, is here. And accompanied by by Sergeant Nowoski. It's always a great pleasure when our police department outnumber our fire department. So, but at any rate, they must be off on calls. I'd like to also acknowledge, again, Deputy Mayor Pennington, Assistant Chief Operations for the South King Fire and Rescue, and how tightly woven law enforcement and fire emergency management activities are these days, and it's going to get better and better. So we appreciate the presence of our law enforcement, our fire, EMTs, and all of you for coming. This is a great event. I think we owe JJ a round of applause for initiating this. And just to keep in mind as we go about a great day and a great weekend, that we keep in mind the reason this is a holiday. And with that, I wish you all the best. And look forward to seeing you next year.